Well, hello everybody. Welcome to New to Me. This is, I think, a new open collaboration hosted by at Grandma Sandy and at Kimmy's Kitchen and More. And please do go and check out their content. There's all sorts: cooking, recipes, gardening, household stuff, crafting. So go and see what they're doing, and please also do feel free to take part in this open collab. Just put hashtag open collab, hashtag new to me. Well, I don't know whether there's anybody else from the UK who's taking part in this new open collab, but if there is, welcome, and welcome to everybody else. And if you're from the UK and not taking part in this or other open collabs such as Garden Tour Saturday, well, where are you all? It's great fun. It's about sharing ideas, sharing our successes, things that haven't gone quite so well, and in this open collab, things that are new to us, that we haven't shown anybody on YouTube before. The first thing I am going to show you in my first new to me open collab is one or two of my newly acquired teapots. Now, I'm an avid collector of teapots, especially vintage teapots, or any pretty teapot that has another purpose, say a teapot for one person, or, as I'm going to show you, a teapot from the 1950s, and even a teapot with an inbuilt tea strainer. So let's go and have a look at the teapots. So this is the little friend who's sitting next to me. This one is Merlin. Isn't he a handsome fellow? He's a beautiful boy, aren't you, Merlin? He's nearly 15 years old and he's as fit as a flea. He's lovely and cuddly and sweet-natured. This is my dresser. This is full of vintage and pretty teapots. I even have a 1950s coffee pot in here. It's got other vintage goodies here. The white enamel things on the right hand side, they're 1950s. This one I bought from my friend Claire, who is a member of staff at the Petticoat Lane Emporium. She also has a pitch there. Now, this cost me £8. It's quite a large teapot. You could easily get 4 really good cups of tea out of this teapot, and you'll notice that it has an inbuilt strainer. This one is my barrelware teapot. This again will provide 3 or 4 good cups of tea. This one is 1950s. I bought this one recently, in fact, from a vintage emporium in Herne Bay. When my mum-in-law was down, we went to Herne Bay and on Good Friday, and I bought it then. This one cost me £38, which actually is good value because they're often upwards of £48, and I've even seen them for £85. So this was well priced and it was in really good nick. Dan and I use this quite often because all our china is also 1940s and 1950s barrelware china. Barrelware was manufactured by Wood and Son of Staffordshire. I in fact have 2 of the earliest examples of those barrel plates from 1939, which I bought on eBay. I still have some more barrelware to collect. I would like some soup plates, and I would like some soup cups with the double handles, which I have seen out and about, though not recently, so I'm looking out for those. I'm not really into the serving dishes. I've got milk jugs. I think I'm short of the sugar bowl, but I have 4 cups and saucers, and then the tea service will be complete. So this is another new acquisition. I bought this about a month ago at the indoor car boot sale at St. Peter's Church Hall. An indoor car boot sale is really, I suppose, a posh term for a jumble sale, or as I call it, a jumbly. When I went there a few weeks ago, one of my friends whose pitch at the Petticoat Lane Emporium is right across from mine, and is called the Boatyard, was there with her husband, and they were taking part in the jumble sale, and they had this little beauty. This was actually from her own collection, although they do sell quite a few things that have been on the pitch that haven't sold. They will take them to the jumble sale and sell them cheaply. This one cost me £1, and it's perfect for one person. So I'm going to make a cup of tea now, and then we'll look at 1 or 2 other things. Just warm the pot up, one for me and one for the pot. This is Derbyshire tea. So now I have poured my cup of tea. This was my mum's porcelain mug, which I now have, and a very nice cup of tea it is too. You probably noticed I put my milk in first. Now that's always controversial. A lot of people pour the tea first and then put the milk in, but this is often the Lancashire way. My granny was from Lancashire, and she always put the milk in the cup first. Was Mum sometimes did it the other way round. So that brings me on to the next thing to show you. Now I've had a really busy day today. I've made some bread, it's finishing off in the oven. I've done some chores around the house. I've been for a walk down to Broadstairs and bought some shopping. I came back home, fed the cats, fed myself, washed the dishes, and now I am here. Well, I subscribed to the Hotel Chocolat newsletter, and I have a Hotel Chocolat loyalty card. Now this is beautiful chocolate, and it is Beauvais free for anybody in the UK who's a bit concerned about having any chocolate product containing dairy from the methane reducing milk pool, which of course is very controversial, and you've probably seen some of my videos and podcasts on that subject in the past on this and or my other channel, Cat Evans Cuisine. Now I have been signed up to their newsletter for about a year, and as a thank you I had a good amount of money off a chocolate product. It was about £5 in value, and I bought this just before Easter. And it's not Easter now, but you don't have to have Easter eggs at Easter. These are mini eggs. These ones are a collection of melt in the middle chocolate eggs featuring caramels, pralines and tipples. Well, I'm not sure about a tipple at this time of the day. The Easter egg flavours are in the little box there, and there's your ingredients. So there's milk, hazelnuts, pistachios, soya, macadamia, sulfites, almond, or as your allergens. I'm going to crack this box open because I think after a busy day I deserve a little bit of chocolate. Although since Lent ended I haven't eaten very much chocolate at all, but I think today I need some. My back is a little on the sore side today. It has been lately. I've been very busy. I've been doing too much. So I'm going to sit down for a few minutes and enjoy a chocolate. So this is what they look like, and there's actually a menu included. Although I am often one for choosing one at random, I'm not so keen on white chocolate. I prefer dark. There's vanilla, raspberry super milk, simple dark, indulge, which is praline. That's my favourite type of chocolate. Salted macadamia, champagne, pistachio, strawberries and cream, salted caramel and tipsy cinnamon cake. I've got the indulge. Tasty, tasty. Super smooth, intensely satisfying. Hazelnut praline, no compromises. This one has no alcohol in, though it has nuts and dairy. It's so yummy. The chocolate flavour of the hazelnut really comes through. I love praline. I can't begin to tell you how much I like them. My mum was the same, caramels and pralines. The more I think about it, and the more time passes, I think the more like my mum I have either become, or else either that or as I've got older I've begun to appreciate the things that she used to appreciate as well. We have quite similar tastes in quite a lot of things actually. In life, in many ways, we were very different people with very different outlooks. And most of those who know me quite well know that we didn't always rub along together very well. I was her carer from the age of 10, so there was kind of a bit of a dichotomy in that mother-daughter relationship. But we loved each other unconditionally. And that's the main thing, and she's not here anymore and I miss her every day. Cheers, Mum. Anyway, now on to the third thing. This is the last thing I'm going to show you today. I must admit as well, I've just scoffed a champagne one. At first I thought, oh, there's not any champagne on the palette, then it hit me like a bomb. I would give those chocolates probably about 9.2 out of 10. They're so yummy. I've put them in the fridge now so Dan can enjoy one when he gets home. So the last thing I have to show you is this book by Neil Oliver called Hauntings, a book of ghosts and where to find them. Neil Oliver is a Scottish historian and now podcaster. He was cancelled during the global incident for refusing to go along with the mainstream narrative. and he lost his livelihood and went instead on alternative media. He's very knowledgeable about many areas of history. He used to present a TV programme called Coast as well, which was very enjoyable. More about that in maybe another of these new to me adventures. Now, I do like reading, but I'm not really into fiction. I prefer non-fiction. I don't get a lot of time for reading. I used to read when I was a lot younger, quite a lot, but life these days is very busy and I just don't get time or the inclination to sit down and put my head in a book. My eyesight is also terrible, so I often have problems reading the text. But books I tend to dip in and out of. I might read a chapter, then I might not read anything for a while, and then I might read another chapter. I can usually pick up where I've left off. Books like these are a selection of mini stories in themselves. I'm really looking forward to reading this book because, of course, I've had a lifelong interest in the paranormal and also spiritualism. The spiritualist movement really came to the fore later on in the Victorian period. So even very religious people were interested in trying to make contact with their loved ones and friends now in spirit. And did you know that the main reason for inventing the telephone was in order to attempt to communicate with those who had passed into the spirit world? In actual fact, I will read you a quote by Victor Hugo from my book on reincarnation that Dan bought me one year as a birthday gift. It says, "The tomb is not a blind alley, it is a thoroughfare. It closes in the twilight, it opens on the dawn." Do you ever get the feeling that you don't quite belong to the present or that you've lived before? Well, the veil between this earthly plane and the next world is a thin one indeed. I read The Blue Island by William T. Stead, which was a channeled work because when he wrote it, he had passed on the Titanic, and he recounted what happened to his soul and those of all those who perished, and it was quite a fascinating story. He said at one point that he attempted to make contact with people on the earthly plane. He was in this room that had almost like muslin round, you know, the whole thing about the veil. To them it was solid walls, but to him it was like muslin or voile hanging. And he went there with a guide because he was a fairly new soul again in spirit. He wasn't able to go out about on his own and was accompanied by a guide. And he was saying how to make contact you really had to focus and concentrate on getting the message across psychically, telepathically, if you like, as much as the people who were trying to get the message through were trying to focus on receiving a message. He really had to focus hard because he said it could sometimes get lost in translation or the message might be muddled. very interesting. So I'm looking forward to reading this book on hauntings. Dan and I have both had many paranormal experiences during our lives. There's some smashing stories in here, and I've turned at once to Beneath the City of Edinburgh, because Edinburgh has a lost city which is actually underground. So these look to be quite interesting. I have a family link to Edinburgh as well. My grandfather was from Edinburgh, and I have a great-great-grandfather on my mother's side who was stationed at Edinburgh Castle in the 1850s. He signed up to the British Army when he was 15 years old during the Irish potato famine. He signed up at Westmeath. Previous to that, he'd been signed up for about a year or so in the Merchant Navy. He signed up to the 34th Regiment of Foot, and he fought in the Crimea, he fought in the Turkish War, and he also fought in the Indian Mutiny. And eventually he retired at the grand old age of 35 due to ill health. He had TB and varicose veins and became a Chelsea pensioner, but he was obviously very brave and committed to his cause, because he returned to the army on a desk job basis and became a recruiting officer, and then he eventually retired. He settled in Preston, Lancashire, where he'd been stationed latterly, and had transferred towards the end of maybe the 1850s, the beginning of the 1860s, to the 29th Regiment of Foot, and for a while was stationed at Aldershot. So he moved around quite a lot, having started out in Clonmel, Tipperary as a wee bairn. Clonmel, Tipperary is, I should add, a garrison town. Of course, I did a lot on family history, and a lot of the Irish side actually were from Scotland originally. There was a lot of toings and froings between Scotland and Ireland. So this will be a very enjoyable book, and I'll let you know how I find it. There's some very intriguing titles such as Raynham Hall and the Brown Lady. Anyway, enough of all that. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like. Please comment. What do you think of my teapots? Are you into the paranormal? Is this the kind of book you would enjoy reading? I also enjoy reading books by Dr. David Starkey. I really love my history. Have you had any experiences? Do you like chocolate? What kind of chocolate do you like? What sort of brands? I'm interested to know. Let's have some dialogue. Also, if you're a YouTuber, please feel free to take part in this open collab and any others that you see. It's always good to have new people on board, and we can share ideas and experiences as well. Please share this video, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe, ding the notification bell. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you again soon for the next video. Until then, bye for now.